Hi, I'm Corinne, and this is Free Press Fail. This week has been a huge news week, so much so that it was actually really hard to choose the fake news of the week. Somehow we settled on 4 big stories. They're all good, so stick with me for just like 6 minutes. First, Fauci. Besides the CDC completely reversing its position on the rights of vaccinated people so they could try to save Biden's failing economy, Fauci was very busy. He marched his tiny, tyrannical self to the Senate this week for an explosive hearing. With the help of conservative senators, mainly Rand Paul, America was made aware of some pretty serious wrongdoings by Fauci and the NIH, like how they probably invented COVID. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. There's a paper trail that proves Dr. Fauci supported funding to Wuhan labs that were doing some very dangerous research, specifically on creating viruses that can transfer from animals to humans, like COVID-19, which probably came from a bat. The doctor denied his involvement completely, but what can we expect? If he admits the truth, he not only admits that he had a major hand in crippling the United States economy, he also admits, maybe worse in his eyes, that President Trump was right. As you might remember, President Trump said even in the beginning that he believed Chinese labs were to blame for COVID-19. That's why he called it the China virus. Liberals like Fauci claimed he was insane, xenophobic, blah blah, racist for saying so. Now it's clear that the Wuhan virus did come from a lab. Fauci always knew that, and Trump was actually on top of it this whole time. People committed to the truth, so people other than Dr. Fauci, are now only debated whether or not the virus was released on accident or on purpose. Great. Now, story 2. Somewhat related because it has to do with Fauci's disastrous recommendations for COVID. I'm talking about the biggest crisis of the pandemic. And no, it's not the fake gas shortage that's happening now. It's about cancer screenings, or lack thereof. Official reports this week are now showing that cancer screenings plummeted in 2020, and it wasn't because people were too afraid to go to the doctor. It was because they couldn't go to the doctor. States with the most strict lockdown orders saw the steepest drops in cancer screenings, and the results are nothing short of disaster. Doctors are coming out and saying that they are just now treating tumors the size of grapefruits that should have been removed a year ago. Last year, plenty of doctors said that COVID-19 was not serious enough to justify lockdowns that prevented treatment for more serious illnesses, but they were banned on Twitter and YouTube and scolded by the media. Now here we are. While supposedly attempting to mitigate the risk of a virus that kills less than 1% of the population, we've doomed millions of Americans to a much tougher battle with cancer, which kills, sadly, much more than 1% of the population. We sacrificed the many to save the few, and those who argued in favor of the lockdown seem intent on denying this terrible trade-off. It's actually physically exhausting to even have to fight with these people who still support the kind of tyranny that led to this. You know, the ones who are proudly wearing 2 masks and an "I'm vaccinated" sticker. They'll never admit that there's actually no justification for what they did. Even though they're wrong, and even though they were always wrong, they still feel right. And that's why they'll continue to isolate the people who tell them they were wrong and continue to treat medical professionals as outcasts for giving a real medical opinion that is not in line with the orders of Dr. Fauci. It's killing people, but they feel really righteous in their mission. On the other side of the world, top story number 3, Israel. Israel and Palestine are basically at war. Unofficially official. Rockets have been exchanged, fiery tweets are lighting up the internet on both sides, and of course, woke as F Hollywood has taken the opportunity to remind us that famous liberals have no principles. Now, war is messy, and I don't expect a bunch of narcissists to pick a side really easily, but celebrities are going out of their way to do so. They want to free Palestine, and some of them are even dumb enough to think that I really care about them using that hashtag. Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot, who is from Israel and served in the Israeli Defense Force, got herself in trouble with the woke elites who apparently didn't realize Gal was from Israel. After a very mild Instagram post that called for peace and expressed grief over the conflict, Gal lost a lot of followers. Captain Marvel herself, Brie Larson, unfollowed over the comment, which is really funny because last I heard she was on some kind of mission for trans rights, and I don't think that those are a thing if you ask Palestinians. Actually, most liberals and the rights they claim to support are in total opposition with those in Palestine who wants a free Palestine. The guys firing the rockets over there probably aren't too happy to hear that a bunch of gay-friendly, trans-inclusive feminists are speaking in support of them. They probably don't like it at all, actually. Maybe you need to just calm down, Hollywood. Now, top story number 4 is only related in the way that I know she was probably loving the conflict. Liz Cheney stealing headlines this week. Poor Liz, I'm sure she might have enjoyed the Middle Eastern bombs a little more if she was not so busy finally being fired from her leadership position in the GOP. Honestly, I'm pretty sure Liz was only sacrificed because Tucker Carlson called out Kevin McCarthy for being a huge rhino a few weeks ago, and he needs to get back in the good graces of conservatives. That being said, I'll take it. Liz Cheney is a shallow opportunist who has spent at least the last 4 months completely trashing members of her own party. She believes herself to be some kind of mastermind whose job it is to lecture her constituents, and frankly, it's insulting. She's boring, she loves war, and she doesn't raise any money for the GOP. She sucks, and I'm glad she's out. But of course, Liz shows no signs of remorse for her sins against Republicans, because much like other Cheneys, Liz probably doesn't have a soul. She committed to this never Trump delusion that states Trump it will be the death of the party and denies the actual math that the Republican Party is literally bigger than ever because of Trump. Of all people, Liz should know. Trump actually got like 80,000 more votes in Wyoming than she did, and it's her own state. Maybe that's contributed to her continued Trump derangement syndrome. As we know, she has a very serious case of it, and it's only getting worse now that Trump's out of office. I guess I can't take down the TDS tab on our website just yet. That's all I've got for you this week, so be sure to subscribe and be the first to get updates next week.